Move on.
This meeting is being recorded.
We're good.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Lunch Bunch at the Spiritual Neighborhood. The Spiritual Neighborhood is a grassroots community project of the Council of Families for Children, dedicated to the quality of life for the body, mind, and spirit, and for the integration of a happy, healthy human. And today we have Isaac and his lovely wife, Deborah, right?
Abra.
What did I say? What'd you say?
Abra?
Abra. I thought you said Deborah. Oh my God, my hearing. Okay, so we welcome you guys back, but I'm gonna let Elizabeth kind of, for those watching that have seen you before, remind them what you do, and those that haven't, share with them that.
Well, I was going to, I had it all on my phone and my phone froze up. So thank you, Mercury Retro, because now all my notes have disappeared. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's do this. Since we want to have so much info on what's going on, Isaac, what if you just start with what you've got for us, and then we'll get to how people can get in touch with you. Let's just go from there. How about that?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Big thing that's going on that's really making an impact right now is we're in the midst of all these retrogrades, and it's not just Mercury. Mercury went retrograde today, but we have Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto all retrograde. So with that kind of combination of everything going retrograde, it's causing a huge amount of people having to re-evaluate a number of things in their lives.
This is literally that take a step back and look at what's happening. Do you agree with it? Where do you put your next step when you move forward?
Right.
It's an opportunity to revisit where you've been and what you've thought and how you want to approach the future. It is very disconcerting, though, to people to go through retrogrades, especially this many at one time, because it makes you feel, like I mentioned, I think last month, you're the fish that's going against the river. Everything's coming at you. You can't move. You're trying to fight to just hold on to your own existence. It makes things difficult to get things done because you're having to reevaluate everything and making sure it's correct. Now, there's some good to that. And that, that's the good side of Mercury retrograde. It causes you to slow down and think about exactly what you're doing and how you're approaching it. Think about your plans, what's going on with them. Are they really too ambitious? Are they not ambitious enough? Do you want to take on more, or do you need to hold back? Do you need to do some more evaluation of your own goals? That's part of that whole Mercury retrograde. It makes you slow down and reevaluate things. Now, the bad side of Mercury, we all know, your printer goes on the fritz, Elizabeth's phone goes sideways.
Yeah.
You drop
Seriously.
You drop your phone. You drop things out of your fingers. You bump. You slam your fingers. Things with communication.
The battery dies.
The battery dies.
Battery dies. Yeah.
Keys in car locked up. That sort of thing. Those fun things. That's Mercury getting your attention. Slow down. Think about what you're doing. And Mercury, in relation to the tarot, that's that magician. Are you focused enough to get your goals across?
What is the magic that you're working?
I would just like to fix my Wi-Fi. That's the only magic I want, is to fix my Wi-Fi.
So what is the magic we're working on?
Yeah, what is the magic that you're working? That is what you're being asked when these things are going sideways. What is the magic that you're working on? Because what you put out comes back to you. That is what you're making. If you start swearing and saying everything is going bad, then you perpetuate more of that. If you say, oh, this is an opportunity to reevaluate and think about, maybe I want to do something else, that's focusing your magic in a positive way.
Or doing it a different way.
Or doing it a different way, just seeing it from a different angle, like the Hangman card.
Yes, yeah, upside down, let's flip it over.
Flip it over. And a lot of times during this, the best thing to do is just kind of lay down what you have going on, what are your goals, and how you've been approaching them. And with this Mercury retrograde, it gives you that different perspective that often you need to go, well, maybe this is can be done a little bit differently, or something's a little bit more important, or how can we approach it?
Well, Isaac, is it different because Mercury is retro in Cancer? Is that
Yes,
gonna
now here's that
highlight?
spin.
Okay,
Here's that spin. Now it's in Cancer and it's in retrograde. Now, for Mercury to be retrograde, that's not as overwhelming as in other places it could be. But in Cancer, remember, is that fourth house. It's all about family, home, your house, your kitchen. It's also your car, the outer shell,
It's an enclosed space.
enclosed space, that sort of thing. And Mercury's there, and Mercury's going retrograde, which means we have to be very careful with how we communicate in our families right now during this retrograde, because it's going to be very easy to misinterpret what people are saying, and you might have to ask for clarification. And that's the important point. Ask for clarification. Just don't jump off on an emotional ledge and react with the pinchers.
So I have a question. So that's happening now. There we had the pre-Mercury retrograde, and some people said they already went through that in that period, and they see a shift and change in the while we're in the storm of the eye, I guess, the eye of the storm rather. And so how does that work? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have that basically that 3-4 days beforehand, before it goes normally, and then it goes stationary, and then it goes retrograde. And a lot of people pick up on a lot of that beforehand, which
Kind of like a buildup.
it's like a buildup. It's like the pre-hurricane type force winds start building up, going back to your eye of the storm. And then once you hit it, then you're in full bore, and you're going to ride through it, and then we're going to come out on the other side. This lasts till next month. It's not that far off, and it's July 12th, so we don't have long with it. And this happens every year, roughly around 3 times a year. We have these retrogrades, and you just have to be prepared to go through them, and just be careful. Try to be more aware of your movements, so both physically and mentally, and communication-wise.
So in other words, what you're saying is that if you're aware of all these things, and prior to the storm of the eye, or the eye of the storm, I don't know why I keep saying that backwards, but it will help you if you start working in it in that first phase. It's going to help you move through the most difficult part of that phase, moving through and out of it.
Definitely.
So it's really important to start at that pre.
It would definitely help people out, because what happens if you totally try to ignore it, and you don't take that extra precautions in terms of what you're doing or what you're thinking, it's going to bump up against you and slam you in the face, or you're going to slam something on your fingers, or cut your fingers, or something of that nature, or issues with communication is always the big one. Printers, I had a 3-round circus with my printer yesterday, but I talked to it gently last night while I was sleeping and said, please, I need these things to print out tomorrow morning. And then sure enough, it did. But I had to reevaluate what I was doing, what my computers were doing, what I wanted to get across, why was it important. And once I clarified that, things just started working fine.
So shifting that energy.
Yep. But in the middle of
it, I've got a question for you, because this comes up a lot. How far back does the pre-shadow start? Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks before the actual Mercury goes into retro? There's a lot. I'm getting conflicted info. Is it 1-2 weeks? Should we?
No, to me it's more like
time?
To me it's more like 3 days. Mercury moves
3 days?
before it goes retrograde.
It's kind of the
Okay.
foreshadowing, that building up of the barometric pressure, or that drop just before things are starting to change. And this is the time when a lot of people feel it, because they can feel sort of a shift, but they're not in tune enough to the planets to understand what that shift is, but they can still feel it. So there's some more unsettlement right before it actually starts.
Yeah, to me, I'd worry 3 days before. Before that, I think you're just picking up on, being super sensitive, but it's, in terms of working with the universal energies, I wouldn't give it that much power. You might pick you might pick it up, but it is not having that great an influence.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Really, that makes more sense. Okay.
And I would say Mercury in Cancer is not as bad. It's in a calmer area for it to be versus being in like Gemini or in Aries or something like that. It's going to be felt, but it's more within that family realm. So family bonds, the importance of family, the importance of talking to other people within your family, getting them on board, making them feel comfortable. You might have to say what you're trying to get across a couple times, but that's okay. Just be aware of it. And as Abra was talking to me earlier, this is really maybe more important because a lot of people have been cooped up together, since, the middle of March here. And, tensions are a little high. Everybody's antsy, and it's causing all sorts of social issues, as well as internally in the family, in the home, in the kitchen. There's a lot of energy there that needs to be expressed and needs to be released appropriately.
Am I still frozen?
Yep.
I have a question that
There's
Deborah wants to ask.
You might have to type it, Deborah, on the page for Betty.
She typed it.
Oh.
Is it normal to find that you can get the chaos to be a jumping off point for positive change? I seem to be able to get more done when everything is out of whack.
The Mercury is a way of grabbing you by the shoulders and shaking you a little bit, the retrograde. So it grabs you and shakes you, so you go, what? And then you're reevaluating what's going on around you, and you react accordingly. So you can definitely use it for a jumping off point, because it's startling you enough to get your attention. And that is usually the emotional kernel that you need to move forward in terms of creating new ventures, new goals, new approaches. So I would not recommend starting something new while Mercury is retrograde. Planning is okay, but actually starting something, if you can wait, I would wait. But then I've had people that, clients saying, I've already made this trip, I'm going somewhere, it's in the, Mercury's retrograde, and I tell them, you don't stop your life when Mercury goes retrograde. You become more aware of what you're doing, how you're approaching it, and be prepared for potential delays or detours or something like that. And that is part of the journey, but be aware of it and just still go forward. But starting a new job, buying a new car, doing contract negotiations, I would try to avoid those if I could, and wait till it passes.
Okay.
Wow.
So say somebody selling their house right now, before retrograde started, they put their house on the market, and then retrograde, and they had somebody make an offer, and then they set a date for a closing date. The retrograde has started. So continue with the closing date or put that off.
Since it was started beforehand, I would go for it.
Just make sure you read the contract.
Be prepared on rereading the contract, and in last second typos or the building permit or the inspection or something weird to pop up. Be aware of those kind of things. You might be pushing those. But since it started beforehand, I would push it through.
Or something that happened to us before is you think you're signing a 4-year contract only to find oops, I had to retype it, and now it's 5 years and you didn't notice it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Right.
So
Right.
Read the fine print.
the fine print definitely is that Mercury communication, typing, writing type thing. So
Cool. Well, that's
Good
great
point.
to know.
Well, when we were selling we had a piece of property that we were selling, and we were in negotiations way before Mercury was going into retro. But there were a couple of delays, and we got it all settled up and whatever. And then Mercury went into retro, and I'm telling you, I've never seen such a delay. It went on and on and on. But the day Mercury went out of retrograde, we had it completed, done, signed within 24 hours.
sometimes
Boom.
it's the way it is.
But it had been gone through with a fine tooth comb by that time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have to reevaluate.
Absolutely.
Deborah has a comment. She says, I'm not good at waiting. The momentum seems to be a great foundation.
Things are moving. We got all these things going retrograde is causing a lot of introspection, reevaluation, and that's how we need to use it as entities on this globe. Reevaluate. And we got, Sunday we got that solar eclipse.
Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh.
So we have, the moon is eclipsing the sun, so we're going to have an opportunity to reevaluate the importance of emotions and how they're crucial to our self-expression. So it causes a lot of intensity there. That with the Mercury communications this weekend, I would say you need to be really careful and aware of them.
I have a question from Wendy Marshall McDonald. She says, yikes, I just started a new job on Monday. Am I good since it's before retrograde officially started?
Since you started it beforehand, yes, you're fine. This next week, you might tell her it might be kind of chaotic in terms of her training, though.
Just ground yourself and say prayers.
Absolutely.
Get it in writing.
And, put that salt in your pocket, that's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But starting that beforehand, that takes care of that. But training and communications with the new people might be a little dicey initially, but it'll keep on going.
We just need to take a deep breath and calm our energy down before we approach any issue right now.
Yeah. Just be aware with that all that Cancer energy. Part of Cancer is all tied up with the moon. It's ruled by the moon. So you have these phases of new moon, the full moon, but it also moods in general, moodiness, that rise and fall of your emotional nature is part of Cancer as well. So we have to be aware of that. Hypersensitivity to things around us, things that are close to us, is often very common. Give everybody some space. That's what it amounts to. And since it's all that Cancer, that's the mother, that is mom, that is the kitchen, that is eating together. It's all those things that we need to be aware of and re-strengthen those bonds if possible. Make those connections, because that is what holds us together going forward. Because we have some wild things that are going to be happening here this summer, and we need our support groups intact and in good shape, because June 27th, Saturday, Mars goes into Aries, guys. Mars is the warrior planet. Aries is its rulership area, so that is springtime type energy, and Mars is all power, expression, go forward, movement, action, instinctual survival, stimulation, new forms. That all sounds great, except you can have a fire in your fireplace, or you can have a fire that burns down in your house. It's still fire.
Deborah wants to know, what kind of support are you talking about when you mention
Emotional support, family support, good friends, people that can help you when you need cheering up or emotionally supported with whatever's going on. To feel that you're not alone in the universe and you're not by yourself. That's what it really comes down to. That people care about you and you care about them.
Thank you.
And that's what we need more of. You know, this whole Aries thing, that, you know, I said there's some of those good attributes, but the bad side of Aries, it's very, very impatient. It's aggression. It's instinct. It's not being diplomatic at all. It can get into anger. It can get in to, you know, war, in your face type approaches to things. And that's very, very much on the negative side. But again, it's that fire in a fireplace, fire that overwhelms your house. How do you control that energy? And that's what people are going to need to deal with. Unfortunately, we're coming out of the, you know, quarantine state. People have been bound up in their houses. They have a lot of pent up frustration. And now we're having all these social issues that are, you know, sparking up. And that Mars in Aries says it's going to continue. It's going to be even stronger. People are going to be expressing themselves. And since it's Mars in Aries, it can often turn violent, which is the negative side. On the good side, it can make real change because movement is going to be there and a lot of energy is going to be there. It's usually not long-term energy. Mars is going to be there through November 14th, and it has a retrograde in September.
How will this affect the society as a whole? And when can we expect things to calm down? This is from Deborah.
It's not going to calm down per se until January 2021.
Oh, good God. Oh.
So we got this whole time period of where we're going to be basically pushed and agitated to make change happen. Now, whether that change is good or bad, that's other people coming together and how they communicate and how they react to all this. But change is there. It is pushing you just like you were on a bicycle. It's pushing you down the road. And that's what's going on to society right now.
I have a question.
Sure.
Would the retrograde Mercury have anything to do with people that are trying to infiltrate parts of the media and put kernels of disinformation to make people act in a certain way?
Sure. Yeah, that is a retrograde.
Oh my God.
Like some of the riots and stuff that have happened that we've heard that we've had outside influences trying to influence them.
Yeah. Well, that's part of media is Mercury.
And that would be the bad side.
And that's that flip side of it.
Okay.
It's the magical words. Just because you say something doesn't make it true or not.
Consider your source and do.
Yeah, and that's the trickery, that's the Mercury aspect of words, of media, of things that are written.
Coyote in action.
It's the coyote in action. Thank you. That is the trickster. It's Mercury. You have to be on guard, otherwise you will be tricked. Now, if you're going to listen to the trickster guide you, you know, beware. You're going to be on an adventure. I'll guarantee you that. May not be the one you want. You know.
Oh my gosh.
He never did catch that, you know, roadrunner. So.
No.
Never.
So, good point. So we got that going on. That's going to go on a while, so we have to be aware of that. We're basically going to be strapped onto that big firecracker rocket that the coyote had, that he was always trying to use.
No, that's our Mars.
That's the Mars, yeah. So we're going to have to ride this out and be aware that people are going to act sometimes inappropriately with too much force.
And not enough mental thought.
Yeah.
Into it.
Now, what's the reverse of Mars in Aries? It would be something in Libra, and Libra is balance, stability, fairness, equality, under bringing people together of opposite voices, mediation, it's diplomacy. That's where we need to go, and that Mars is there, and that is an indirect way of forcing us to that other side, which is the whole idea of self-actualization in a person's chart, but also globally, as I view it, that is part of the whole push to try to get us there. You've got to have balance. If you don't have balance, nothing works. It's like that boat on the rough water.
The water flows out of the bathtub.
Yes. So that's what's going on there. Later on in June, the sun is conjunct Mercury retrograde in Cancer. So, a lot of things going on with potential past memories that brought up questions of how much time you need to spend with your families, that sort of thing going on. July 1st, Saturn goes retrograde into Capricorn. So it moved into Aquarius. And I told you how great that would be in terms of, dealing with science and all that. But Saturn is the taskmaster. It's the one that lays down the law and the rules. It's gravity, it's oppression, it's things that hold us back, it's stability. But Aquarius is society, and Saturn moving into that, those rules and regulations, if they're not controlled appropriately, become oppression. So it moved into Aquarius, and we got all this, things stirring up socially with the oppression of all sorts and things. And now Saturn's going to be moving back into Capricorn, which is the whole idea of finance, administration, government, that sort of control. You're going to see this swing back. All these laws and regulations are going to come down. So we got to do this way, this way, this way. It's going to be this big springboard to this again. And then eventually it'll take a while, and then Saturn will move back.
I've got a question, Isaac.
Yes.
Would this also be one of the key points as to why the Supreme Court has made some major drastic decisions for society?
That is the good side of it, yes. If Saturn hadn't been in Aquarius, I don't think you would have seen that. And
Right.
It was just over there just enough so we got some social regulation into an appropriate manner. And that's what you want laws to do. You want to protect people
And not oppressed.
and not oppress people. But now it's moving back, so you're going to get a lot of, back and forth. But that's a very good point, Elizabeth. I don't think it would have happened without that.
The large groups with focused energy change the force of retrograde. That's from Deborah.
Try that again, please.
Can large groups with focused energy change the force of retrograde?
Yes. You're not really changing the force, you're just dealing with it better, though. You're redirecting it. It just, anytime you think Mercury retrograde, think of reevaluate. Reevaluate. And that's probably a good rule of thumb for most things that we do.
Do it all the time.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind, and it makes it a lot easier to deal with. Even for people that are really, really impatient, that's really a help for them. So, and there's a lot of impatient people.
No.
And with all of these different planets in retrograde right now, we are being forced to reevaluate on all of the aspects, on the communications, on Venus, on what we think of as beautiful, on Jupiter, on Neptune, on Pluto. We are being forced to reevaluate all of these things and make sure that our assumptions and the things that we have been brought up to believe are correct, because we're now seeing with all of the racial tensions that are coming to a head, and as well as they should be, because everybody, regardless of what color, what gender, what their sexual orientation is, we should all be treated like the same and with dignity and respect. And that is what we are being reinforced, we're being forced to reevaluate now with all of these retrogrades, is what we've been taught and what is real.
You know, that Neptune there is a big one.
Yeah.
It challenges, Neptune and Pisces is the whole Piscean area before the age of Aquarius type thing. It's that whole thing of martyrdom and, you know, the importance of that. And it's also faith. And when you have Neptune going retrograde, it challenges your faith as to what you really believe in and how you're going to act within your faith. So that's always a fun venture. Talk about the hangman.
Yeah.
Neptune is the hangman.
Yeah.
That's so it's traveling through there and it's going retrograde. You're already upside down and now you're going backwards.
Jeez. Yeah, I can see that, like on that, literally going back.
Isn't that typical for Elizabeth, though? Nobody can hear me.
I think she said, is that difficult? Isn't that difficult for Elizabeth?
No, typical. Typical.
Oh, typical. I almost got it right. Is that typical for Elizabeth?
I think Mercury's trying to tell you something, Deborah. Leave that one alone.
Yeah. Pisces are able to see things from many different viewpoints because they're going like this. It's hard to track them down, but you know, they've been there at least in their journeys. So when they're going retrograde and such like that, to them it doesn't even phase them much. It phases other people more.
We do it all the time.
Because you're
that's kind of like our norm.
That is that whole nature of, you know, that subconscious coming to consciousness that you're able to pull off. So
Yeah. People just think we're crazy. We're not. We're just bringing in info, and sometimes it's years ahead of its time.
yeah, and that's just the nature of that, and that's the beauty of Pisces. You know, there's there's good and bad to each sign, but you know, that's one of the beauties of Pisces, that you're able to bring that stuff through. Having other people understand.
There's three of us here, so there's three of us together on that. So yeah.
Getting other people to understand what the Pisces are saying, though, is it can be difficult because they're usually speaking a language that other people aren't there yet.
Yeah, I get that.
It's the metaphysical type of speech, language, understanding. Yeah. Very cool there.
Got it.
And July 12th, Sun in Cancer is trying that Neptune in Pisces. So there's a chance for some real imagination and new insight to come through. That would be a great night. Pre-program yourself before you go to bed. What are going to be my dreams? Let me remember my dreams. Let my dreams speak to me. What do I need to know? Because there's going to be a conduit from that Sun to that Neptune then that we can use. Especially for imagination, for things you want to create, things you want to build, paint, travel, where you want to go, what do you want to experience? And you can take that as far as that whole Neptune thing. You can dive into your faith in your gods and goddesses or belief systems or whatever else. There's going to be a conduit all the way back, and you can really jump into that.
Akashic.
Akashic
Awesome.
records if you want to really get serious.
Yeah.
Because the library will be open. So
Yeah. That makes sense.
to more people than usual. Pisceans usually can dive into that fairly easy, but it opens up for everybody. So
So that would be a great time to ask for solutions, like to the COVID or systems or programs or anything that pertains to having a better world or society, or just yourself personally. This would be the perfect opportunity to delve into that.
There you're tying into information beyond our realm.
Right.
And you're getting into the whole thing with, your archangels and angels and all their, all the intelligences of all the planets and such like that. You can actually start tuning in into it a little bit easier than normal.
What's going on?
Okay.
What's
What
going
can
on?
we expect in regards to the election? How does it affect it?
During the election, we're going to have that Mars going retrograde, which means there's going to be a lot of conflict that's going to be expressed. I mean, if you thought the last one was mean and nasty, wait for what's going to happen here. There's going to be a lot of really personal attacks. Totally inappropriate.
And we need
Without
to
merit.
And we need to get rid of the electoral college, or our votes don't count.
That's true.
It's just that simple.
But with that Mars going, it's going to cause a lot of conflict within people, which always disturbs me, because conflict does not itself create balance in the long term. It can get there, but this intermediate period is going to be upsetting. So you're going to have very, very strong divisions again. This whole thing with these planets going retrograde, with so many of them in Capricorn, I see a total change in government. And I keep on talking about this. It is going on, and it is not letting up. And that Pluto up there is slow and grinding and doesn't let up. And Jupiter's up there going, yeah. And,
At the jackhammer.
and then Saturn's going to be moving back in there, and Saturn goes, we can stomp on everybody. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going down, trying to oppress what's going on, but it's still going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot, but that's what it's showing. It's not a peaceful situation, or what I would consider an appropriate selection of individuals for government.
Mm-hmm. And the summertime is really kind of a dicey time just in general, because when it starts really getting hotter, it does create more and more anger within people who would not normally be angry, but the heat really kind of magnifies that energy as well.
Yep. I have some charts I did on previous riots, incidences of social injustice that's been expressed, protest and things of that nature, and almost inevitably, they start around March and go through the summer, and then they dissipate. That's part of our seasonal change as well. When it gets really, really cold, people don't want to go out. When they're hot and bothered, they want to go out and change the world. Yeah. So that goes on as well. We have some really big things going on with that latter part of July, when we have these planets opposite the sun. So that Jupiter, that Pluto, that Saturn are going to be opposite the sun. So we're going to get a lot of focus of things that have gone on before. They're going to be illuminated. They're going to be put on the spot as to how well they're helping the individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so for those watching, the best advice you can give everybody right now while in the Mercury retrograde is keeping open communication, learning how to ground and breathe through whatever you're going through emotionally. And one of the things I find really important when communicating is to do it verbally. Right now is the best time to just do it verbally, not through texting or emailing or anything like that, because things come across the wrong way. So a suggestion for everybody watching other than that, to really help them get through this right now.
Evaluate your source when you're communicating with someone.
Yes.
Perfect.
And tonight on the show, I'm going to talk more about some of these big things that happen during the summer and how we can be aware of them and work with them to our advantage.
Very cool.
So tonight you're also going to be talking a little bit more in an astrological update on COVID as well, correct?
Correct.
Awesome.
Definitely touch upon that. Saturn in Aquarius, that whole situation, the retrogrades, the Mars into Aries, and some of these oppositions that happen in the latter part of July are really, really big time. So July is not going to be a mellow situation for anybody.
Right.
Well, awesome. So y'all can find that link for the radio show either on Elizabeth's page, Isaac's page, and on Spiritual Neighborhood page for tonight's show at 8 p.m., right?
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Well, we really enjoyed having you both on today, sharing all that information. I think it's really going to help a lot of people watching this show and that will be watching later, because we do have a lot of people going to our YouTube channel and watching it afterwards when they can't be with us live. And I think it's going to really help a lot of those going through this this time and this energy. So thank you
Awareness
for that.
is the first thing. Be aware of what's going on and then act to the best of your knowledge.
Forewarned is forearmed.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, Deborah held up a sign that said, "Well done." Communication going south quickly. Yes.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a wonderful day and good luck on your show tonight.
We'll be listening tonight for sure.
Hey,
Hello.
Betty has a question.
Hi, Deborah. Okay.
Yes. I want to thank Ann Ransom and Wendy Marshall McDonald and Vicki Alvin for participating in our show today.
oh, cool. We have many
Thanks,
other
everybody.
viewers,
That
so
was awesome.
thank you everybody for watching. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
that was awesome. Thanks for the
Well,
question.
y'all have a wonderful day. Thank
See
you,
you
Isaac.
tonight.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.